Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The four divisions of retired life are the Vaikhanayasas, Vaishkilyas, Odambaras, and Venapas. The four divisions of renounced order of life are Kutichakas, Bahavodas, Hamsas, and Nishkriyas. All these were manifested from Brahma. Purport. The Varnashrama Dharma, or the institution of four divisions in order of social and spiritual life, is not a new invention of modern age, as proposed by the less intelligent. It is an institution established by Brahma from the beginning of creation. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varna Maya Srishtam. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So Prabhupada in this purport is mentioning that the Varnashrama Dharma, the institution of four divisions and orders of social and spiritual life, is not a new invention of modern age. In our folk days, I am sure every one of us have gone through a session or a presentation where we talk about the pramanas. We have pratyaksha pramana. If we were to know something, get into more details. One is through pratyaksha, what we can perceive through our senses, through our mind. That's called pratyaksha pramana. And then, what is the second one? Anumana pramana. Through inference and logic, we deduct, extrapolate. This data analytics, what is happening in today's world. If you check on Google something, the Google will start giving that kind of information. It's analyzing and extrapolating based on what we are searching. So Anumana, it is guessing that you are interested in this subject, and basis that they are exposing you to that kind of a content or that kind of information. And then we conclude the most authentic, where the scope of we getting cheated is nil, is the Shabda Pramana. And Shabda Pramana, although it may look like it is blind faith, we are blindly believing. Science is very rigorous in its approach. It wants to actually see, perceive, and then conclude. But even in our daily life, we use Shabda Pramana very often. In fact, we cannot live our daily life without the use of Shabda Pramana. The famous example which Prabhupada also gives is, today we know who is our father, who is our mother. Actually, we have not used Anumana Pramana, we have not used Pratyaksha Pramana, we have used Shabda Pramana. There is a way of, through DNA, fingerprinting, some way of concluding, yes, so and so is my father. But none of us have done that to ascertain who is my father, who is my mother. And it makes sense. Somebody who is an authority, you ask, the person says, and we accept. So here, Krishna in the Gita says, Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtam. I have created. And this Vedic knowledge, Tene Brahma Hriday Adi Kavaye, was revealed in the heart of Brahmaji by none other than the Supreme Lord. And because it is coming from the Lord, it is revealed by the Lord. We also know that how every product which is there in the market, The manufacturer knows that some information about the product, some do's and don'ts, some instructions have to be given so that the product can be properly and wisely used. So, likewise, even about this material creation, there's a purpose. It's such a wonderful, complex, in that sense, very complex creation. So many planets, each moving in their orbits. The sun is rising. There is rainy season, spring season. They all are moving in a very systematic order. It has not come by chance. It is created by the Lord. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam, Krishna says, under my supervision. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. It is created by the Lord for a purpose. And what is the purpose? What is the reason why this creation has come about? The Lord has revealed. And without this understanding, one cannot lead a purposeful life, a meaningful life. I think in one of the class we discussed, suppose a person is traveling in a train and he finds a passenger sitting next to him and he starts a conversation. And he asks that person, "Where are you going?" He looks at him and he is not having a proper answer. He is blank faced. So the person again asks him, maybe he doesn't know where he's going, just to ascertain, "Where have you boarded the train? From where are you coming?" He again looks blank faced. And then, just to double check and triple check that he is in his senses, he is not a madman, the person will ask, "Why are you traveling? What is the purpose of your travel?" And again, if he is blank faced, then very easily using Pratyaksha Pramana, you can conclude that he is not in his senses, he is a madman. So, the Vedas give us this coordinate: who we are, where we are coming from, what is the purpose of this creation, and where do we go after death. Just like in that example, if a person doesn't have this coordinate, actually, if he is traveling and he does not have this coordinate, he is a madman. This three coordinate, basic minimum is required for any sane man. Anybody who is traveling, if you ask these three questions, he will have correct answer. Where I am coming from, where I am going, why I am traveling. Whether he is going by train, bus, car, whatever it may be. Any mode, anywhere, anybody, any part of the world, anybody who is traveling, he will have these three coordinates. Now, most of us in this material world, not most of us, most of the world's population is not having these coordinates, even though they may be big, big scholars or intelligent people. And the Maya is so powerful that not many people are even inquisitive to know about this coordinate. They are not even this question doesn't arise, doesn't make sense. Whereas Vedas, Tene Brahma Hriday Adi, Krishna revealed everything. Why this creation is happening, who we are, the living entities, why we have been sent in this material world, why there is suffering here, what is our relationship with the Lord, what is spiritual world, how we can go there, what is this process of birth and death, why different people are encountering different, somebody is very happy, somebody is very miserable. So the entire knowledge is there. So Prabhupada in the purport is mentioning This is not a new invention of modern age. This understanding of soul, understanding of whatever in the Gita, that how transmigration is happening. It is not, it's there in the Vedas. All this information is there and it has stood the test of time. Actually, if you see in science, we all have studied so many things in science. We have seen some gadgets which come, which are there for certain time and then they get outdated. Many theories come, they stay for some time and then they are outdated. So Vedas, the knowledge which is there has stood the test of time. It has opinion about every aspect of our life. Third, they are very consistent. It's not contradicting each other. And even with the advancement of science, technology, all the research, what is happening, no one can pinpoint and prove. See, now we have evidence that this is wrong. Now we have evidence that Bhagavad Gita, this shloka, this verse, Krishna is saying is proven wrong. Actually, people want, I want evidence. How this spiritual knowledge is, how this Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. No doubt it requires faith. How battle of Kurukshetra happen, if we get into evidence, then yes, we can give some evidence, somebody can also give a faulty counter evidence. But we see it has stood the test of time. It has not changed. No one has proven that this shloka is wrong. And we are very fortunate that knowledge, the original knowledge, in its pure form, as it is. And we also know there are many professional reciters, there are many books in the market, spiritual books, Bhagavad Gita, more than 1,000 translations. But we are very fortunate that Prabhupada, very purely, without any adulteration, without any addition, without any subtraction, has given in its most pure form that knowledge. And our life is basis the understanding in that knowledge. How fortunate we are. Krishna is saying in the 18th chapter, he is saying, now I am going to tell you my most confidential, highest instruction. Shunu me paramam vachaha, ishtosi me sakha cheti, rahasyam hi etat uttamam. This rahasya, which is the topmost secret, now I am going to share with you. And then Krishna says, Manmana, think of me. Bhav mad bhakto, become my devotee. Morning to night we are trying. We are not devotees. Again, devotee is not 0 or 1. We are trying to think of Krishna. We are trying to become his devotees. Madhyaji, worship me. Our day is full of prayers, worship. So Krishna, the highest instruction, who is the most knowledgeable, Shabda Pramana, the absolute truth. Our day, our schedule is basis that highest understanding. Now, our modern brains, because we are conditioned souls, because we are also studied for many, many years, science, technology, we also need some bit of evidence, okay, how Vedas are so true. So can anyone tell me, we'll get some bit of, you can raise hands and suggest, what are there in the Vedas which was mentioned 5,000 years back, Vedas wrote. And now also we see it is true. Embryology. Which canto is that? Third canto. Where That time there was no ECG machine, there was no X-ray machines. The entire fetal development, month on month, is described. And there is one doctor by name Shivats Bhardwaj in Bangalore. He's a devotee. He now chants 16 rounds. Stoka Maharaj was preaching to him. And he was a doctor. He was, again, born in good family, religious, pious. But again, he didn't have faith in our scriptures. And then when they were discussing Bhagavatam, Stoka Maharaj showed that how this thing is there. Then he read that, and after that he regularly started reading Bhagavatam. And in one of his talks, so he was saying, you know him, Shivas? He was saying that how his faith grew, that how Bhagavatam, which is written thousands of years back, but it has very minute details which is exactly matching what today modern science, with all this latest gadgets where you can ECG, you can scan, X-rays, MRIs. 6th month, what will happen? 5th month, what will happen? How will the fetal be? Not only that, he said one very interesting thing. That's easy. Okay, grossly what is going to happen. Bhagavatam describes something what even modern science cannot describe. What is that? With respect to fetal development. What is that person thinking? What is his praying? Even that you cannot see from X-rays and ECGs. You can see gross body developing. But what is that? Brain is developing. It's conscious. It's feeling pain. It is moving in the embryonic fluid. What is that jiva in that body thinking? Bhagavatam is described. Okay, this is embryology is one thing. Anybody else? Our Vedas talk about weapons. Yes, that Vidya is there. Even today we are using Ayurveda. It is becoming very popular. Especially those who are very traditional, very this thing and all that. So they are benefiting from the Vedic text, and they are able to find cure to many diseases which even modern science, chronic diseases. Then the Vedas, there was a time when man actually believed that earth is flat. Because predominantly, Pratyaksha Pramana, if you walk around, it is flat. And man believed that if you keep walking, you will reach a place where you will fall down. Just like, you keep walking on a shore, you will reach a point where there is water. The earth ends and the water begins. But the Vedas say, Bhugol. From the dawn of creation, Bhugol. Any other example? Huh? Multiple? Yes. With all the advancement technology, our understanding of the world is also increasing. It's not perfect, but it's increasing, it's improving. Now we know through these telescopes, gadgets, that there are many, many stars, there are many, many galaxies, and many, many universes. Science also believes that now, which is there in our Vedas. So the more and more, there was a conference organized by ISKCON many years back called Synthesis of Science and Religion, where Bhaktivedanta Institute They organized this conference. Rasraj Prabhu, some of you may be knowing, he was involved thickly in it. BI. Prabhupada wanted learned devotees who are from science background, who understood the Vedas, understood Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, to present it very scientifically, so that even the scientists also realize that it is not just some fiction, not some mythology. So there was a conference organized where many Nobel laureates, many PhDs were invited, and the topic was synthesis of science and religion. And it is also very true, the more and more the science advances, the more and more it will come closer to the worldview which is presented in the Vedas. That's what Prabhupada wanted in Mayapur, the Vedic planetarium, to show to the world, showcase to the world the Vedic cosmology. So the more and more science advances through various ways of acquiring knowledge, pratyaksha, pramana, the more and more it will come closer to what the Vedas are saying. Like the man believed earth is flat, more research, more research, more research. No, it is not flat. The earth is spinning in its orbit. It is bhugol, it is spherical. Any other astrology? Any other thing? What was mentioned in the Vedas which later on has come true? Okay, I was going through where the prediction Bhagavatam mentions about what's going to happen in Kali Yuga. So I'll read out. It was mentioned 5,000 years back. That time there was no Kali Yuga in its full force. But you will see many things which are mentioned. We are seeing it with our eyes in present times. Shukadev Goswami said, "Then, O king, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali." We see this happening. Religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy. Just 2 days back, there was an article. There was a nurse in one of the hospital, neonatal care, where newborn babies are taken care. Suddenly, they found there's a spurt in death of the newborn babies, because they have some data, statistics as to how many babies, what is the statistics with respect to how many will survive. Suddenly, they saw the spurt is there. And later on, it was found, after many months and years, in fact, that this nurse was intentionally killing the babies. There were tubes connecting the babies, neonatal care, newly born babies, premature babies. She would inject in that tube, through injection, air bubbles. Or sometimes disconnect the tubes. Like that, she has killed some more than 15-20 babies. And she is not a psycho case. So truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, memory will all diminish. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered the signs of a man's good birth. Proper behavior and qualities. Anybody who has wealth will be respected, will be worshipped. And law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. Who has power, he can buy justice. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on, so true we are seeing this present time, live-in relationships. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex. And a man will be known as a Brahmana just by wearing a thread. Caste Brahmanas, what happened, the caste system in India, the evils of the caste system. It's all basis this. I am born in a Brahmana family, I have a Brahmanical thread, no qualities, but claiming to be Brahmanas. A person's spiritual order will be ascertained merely according to external symbols. And on that basis, people will change from one spiritual order to next. A lot of conversions happening. A person is known spiritual by the dress he is wearing. A person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living. And one who is very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. One who is very expert in juggling words. So-called gurus in present time who are very popular with big fan following are very expert in juggling words. They have answers to any question in the world, but all that answers are jugglery of words. A sacred place will be taken to consist of no more than a reservoir of water located at a distance. And beauty will be thought to depend on one's hairstyle. So many beauty parlors, so many saloons. Filling the belly will become the goal of life. And one who is audacious will be accepted as truthful. जो बोल सकता है, जिसकी आवाज दम है, वही सच बोल रहा है. He who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man. And the principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. As the earth thus becomes crowded with corrupt population, whoever among any of the social classes shows him to be the strongest will gain political power. So who is gaining political power? Might is right. If you analyze the records of many of the politicians, many of them, last time when the Lok Sabha election happened, results came, some majority of them had criminal cases on them. So, we see, the why I am sharing all this is, the Vedas are apaurushaya. Our Vedic literatures are apaurushaya, they are not man-made. It's given by God. Even the other day somebody was telling me, when we read Prabhupada books also, they are predominantly speaking two ways of reading books. So somebody was telling me, when I prepare for classes, when I read Prabhupada books, the reading happens. That's one kind of reading where information processing is happening. What has Krishna said? What is the relation with that previous verse? It's good. Information. What is the information? Gathering information for a purpose. It could be for a class. It could be for discussing with someone. And there's another kind of reading. What is that reading? Which we are expected to do. Which will transform the heart. Where we are reading for just one purpose. What is that? Self-purification. Anybody else? Self-realization. Association with a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Association. In that reading, the focus should not be, I copy-paste this, save it in another file. It should be just associating with Srila Prabhupada. Getting into what is Prabhupada saying. Like a humble student hearing. Just like Parikshit heard from Shukadeva Goswami. We have seen that picture. He's, with folded hands he is hearing and Shukadeva Goswami is speaking. Just yesterday after Istagoshti we were discussing, if we don't read with that mood. All that is this thing. While we are traveling, we hear Prabhupada lecture. While we are doing something, we are having some lectures on this thing. But attentive hearing, the mood of submissiveness, with the mood of associating with Srila Prabhupada, that will bring about a transformation. So, uh, why we are saying this is Prabhupada's books are pure, and Prabhupada is giving us that same knowledge which Krishna gave without any adulteration as it is. Once there was a, as we said, science, it's predominantly relying on pratyaksha pramana and anumana pramana. And there are many examples of how science has gone wrong, can go wrong, not because we are against science, not because we, for the sake of deriding, we deride science. No, science versus religion. Religion is superior, science is bad. No, science has a place. But when it comes to understanding of the absolute truth, the purpose of this creation, who is God, whether God exists, not God exists, science can go terribly wrong because the process by which it is coming to that understanding is wrong. So once the scientists, as we know, they are all trying to gather data from different sources now. They're trying to go to moon to gather data there so that they can analyze. So below the ocean surface also, a lot of exploration is going on. So once in submarine, they went deep within the ocean, very close to the deepest point in the ocean, miles and miles deep. And we have studied in science, some of us know, inside the earth, it is quite hot. In volcanoes, that lava which comes out, it's because of something which happens, some opening, and then inside that hot lava, it comes out. So deep within the ocean, because of that fissures, because of that cracks or whatever this thing is there, that hot gases which are emerging from within and from the top, because of tons and tons of water, miles and miles deep, because of that pressure, and because of that intense heat inside deep within the ocean, they collected the water sample and the water was bubbling, boiling at 440 degrees Fahrenheit, which in Celsius, because we are used to Celsius, is close to about 220, 230 Celsius. When we boil water, it is 100 degree. And the concept is that when we want to sterilize, even in operation theaters, when they want to sterilize operation theater so that all bacteria, germs gets killed, they boil it. They put that scissor, that operation, whatever that gadgets they have, in boiling water. And the assumption is that all bacteria, all infection will not happen, apart from other antiseptic solutions which they use. So they collected the sample at that 440 degree Fahrenheit from this thing and brought to the lab. And they were surprised that at that temperature, 440 degrees Fahrenheit, they were living organisms, which contradicts their understanding and theory that if we boil the water at 100 degree, all organisms will die. It is not an appropriate environment for organisms, even microorganisms, to thrive, to survive, because the heat is too much for them to live alive. They will die. So this is just one example. So the more data will come, our understanding of the world will change. Now moon, if they find something, some data, it can contradict some of the established understanding we have of the world. In fact, they also realize that's why they want to know more. So our understanding, worldview is constantly changing if we rely on the science. Whereas here we have the most authentic, the Vedic knowledge, which has stood the test of time, given by none other than Lord Krishna himself, and brought to us in its pure form by Srila Prabhupada. How science can go also terribly wrong. One more small example. Once there was a person limping. He was walking but limping. And there were some doctors who had gathered. There was some conference happening, and in the morning they had gone for a walk. And these doctors saw from a distance that this man was limping. He was not walking straight, he was limping and walking. So one of the doctors who was a orthopedic surgeon, he seeing the man limping because he wanted to share, they were discussing about the medical subject and all that. So he said, looks like there's a dislocation of joint because of the tendons getting impacted. Looks like the joint has dislocated because the tendons have got impacted. So that person used his observation and concluded, but this could be the reason why a person is limping. Then came the turn of a neurologist. He said, actually, our body is all connected to neurons and brains are firing. The neurons are firing, controlling different body parts and all that. My understanding is that this man is limping because of cerebral plasticity, some technical jargon he used. But this orthopedic, no, probably it is whatever his version of truth. And then the psychologist, maybe what you're saying is wrong. It may not be true. Actually, who knows? He is a little depressed. He is in anxiety. And our body movement, body language gets affected if we are sad, if we are very enthusiastic. He says, looks like he's depressed. He is in anxiety. So, they were not able to conclude. They were discussing among themselves. No, it is because of this. No, it's because of this. No, it's because of this. So he says, why don't we go and speak to that man and understand more from him what he is facing? Does he have pain? How long he has been facing it? Let me understand. Let us understand. Pratyaksha, gather more data. So they went to the man and said, why are you limping? How long has it been? He says, today morning my slippers broke down. I'm going to the mochi cobbler to get it repaired. So how, using Anumana Pramana, Pratyaksha Pramana, one can miserably go wrong. And imagine people's lifestyle, their whole understanding of the world is based on Pratyaksha Pramana and Anumana Pramana, which science offers. And that's why Prabhupada was so critical. He says, human Dvipada Pashu, animal civilization. Why Prabhupada was so critical? Because they have lost sight of the ultimate purpose, goal of life. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. They don't know the real purpose of life, the real swartha, real self-interest. Now that we are fortunate, we know the self-interest, we know the real purpose of life. Knowing is one thing, but making the best use of the opportunity, it's in our hands. Just by knowing that we are not the body is not enough. Just by knowing that Krishna is Supreme Personality of God, it's not enough. Just by being in the ashram is not enough. How sincerely, seriously we practice this knowledge. How sincerely we follow the instructions so that the purpose for which we have been sent in this material, purpose for which we have joined this movement, purpose for which we are come here, we make best use of that opportunity. We'll stop here. Anyone has any question? Anything you'd like to ask?
My question is that there is a description of as a brahmachari, is it possible to realize the Lord in full? Then why is the need of being a sannyasi, or one should try for become another ashrama?
So the question is, why these four ashramas are created: Varna ashrama, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. And is it mandatory to for a person to go to sannyasa ashram for him to realize the truth? Is that what you're saying? So it is not mandatory. Uh, First thing we have to understand, this Varnashrama institution is for the entire mankind, civilized human being. Prabhupada says, unless one follows the Varnashrama, he is not civilized. So, civilized human being, it's a Varna and Ashrama is important for leading a progressive life. Not everyone can remain brahmachari, so grahastha, ashrama. By following the rules and regulation, you can progress in your spiritual evolution. But the Vedas also say that if we can compartmentalize life, divide into four phases, then ideally a brahmachari, not ideally, in the sense this is how you progress if you were to lead an ideal life. You spend some time, 25 years, controlling mind, senses, getting trained. Then 25 years, because we have enjoying tendency, suddenly it cannot vanish. Enjoy in a regulated way, enter Grahastha Ashrama. Then, knowing that Grahastha Ashrama, enjoyment in Grahastha Ashrama, attachment to family members will be an hindrance to achieve the ultimate goal of life, start detaching Varnashrama, Vanaprastha. And then eventually, with full focus, sannyasa ashram, right? Now, coming back to the question, is it mandatory that step by step we have to go? Brahmachari has to go to Grahastha, Grahastha has to go to Vanaprastha, Vanaprastha. Go to It is not mandatory. Shastras also give injunctions. There are many Naishtik brahmacharis who remain brahmacharis, who don't even take sannyas, which are, Bhagavatam has enough examples of that. So this system is for civilized society, keeping in mind that they all have to be progressive in the spiritual direction. These kind of ashramas, social and spiritual divisions have been created. But it is not mandatory that everyone has to go through this. Not everyone has to take sannyas. In fact, in Kali Yuga, sannyasa is prohibited. Main thing is to evolve spiritually. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what did it say? Naham, Naham Vipro, Na Grahapati, Na Narapati. He says, I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayo Das Das Anudas. I am simply a servant of Krishna's devotee. That is the highest instruction. Otherwise, one can get stuck. I am a sannyasi. That also can bring in ego. Main thing is to realize that I am part and parcel of Krishna and I have to serve. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.